Oliver Darcy from the newsletter Status is with us, as well as the new podcast Power Lines with his partner, John Passantino. Thank you for joining us. So much to talk about. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Don. I love being here with you on Fridays. It's becoming a bit of a tradition.
We should do like I would say it would be Media Mondays, but we can do I don't know, maybe it's effed up something Friday. We'll come up with something. But
After
but
Fridays.
this is really serious stuff, though, that I've been wanting to talk to you about because not only this whole thing that Donald Trump is just he continues to just sue the media, and it would appear from me and also from the legal folks that I have spoken to, these cases, these suits that either would have been tossed out or easily won by the other person, they are settling for some reason, and then with this whole Paramount thing that you just wrote about in the status newsletter, where I think, let's put up the status newsletter, where you said, I think you call it the art of the settlement. In a dramatic power play, Paramount's board of directors overrode its three CEOs to secure $60 million legal settlement with Donald Trump. Status has learned that, and the deal has been closed. And also in this deal, it appears to me that they have agreed to some sort of public service announcements for Donald Trump. Like, what is going on here?
They've agreed to a lot, Don. Really unprecedented, I'd say, for a major corporation, particularly one that obviously runs a news division, a Revere news division, to cave in the way that they have. I think we've almost forgotten how much has been given away to Donald Trump over the course of this process to get this deal done. You go back and you think about Wendy McMahon, the head of CBS News. She was ousted from her job as a result of this deal. You think about Bill Owens, the executive producer from 60 Minutes. He was ousted from his job as part of this deal. They obviously paid $16 million to Donald Trump to get this deal done. David Ellison, the new incoming owner, promised he's going to install a bias monitor to an ombudsman to monitor for bias to get this deal done. They've courted Barry Weiss from the Free Press, the conservative Free Press, to get this deal done. And maybe she's going to be in a high-ranking position. They have allegedly, according to Donald Trump, promised upwards of $20 million in public service announcements for causes that he supports to get this deal done. You go down the list. I'm forgetting one or two things that they've done, but you go down the list. They have completely capitulated to Donald Trump. And I guess we haven't even mentioned the cancellation of Stephen Colbert, which is widely suspected, obviously, to be a result of this deal. And the FCC chairman, Brendan Carr, who had to approve it. I was texting him earlier this week, and he was celebrating the fact that Stephen Colbert was canceled because he is a pro-MAGA FCC chair. And so it's unprecedented the amounts that this company has given Donald Trump. I was thinking earlier today, Don, there's not really much more that Donald Trump could have asked for. He was probably sitting in the Oval Office, racking his brain, thinking, okay, well, they're giving me this, they're giving me that, they gave me this. Like, what more? I mean, what more could he have wanted?
It's, I don't really know what to say, Oliver, in all of this, because what I'm really concerned about the state of, obviously, media, but more specifically, the state of journalism, because there should be a dividing line, a wall between the conglomerate, the corporation, the suits,
Mm-hmm.
and the folks who are in the newsrooms. But this deal is, I believe, an indication of me of something that is really, really, I mean, is it here? Maybe I'm wrong. Something really nefarious or terrible to come as it relates to the state of American journalism and freedom of the press, the First Amendment.
I think you're right. I think that there used to be this firewall between the corporation and the newsroom. And you used to have bosses who protected that firewall, held that line. And I think over the last few years, you've seen that firewall not only erode, but just basically vanish. And so, what's going to happen at Paramount is David Ellison's going to come in, and they are making it very clear they want to move this news organization more toward the conservative, to be friendlier to conservatives. That's the generous way to put it. To be friendlier to Trump supporters. And this is coming from the new owners, and they're going to make sure that that happens. And so they're going to have their fingers all over the editorial there. I think what's alarming to journalists at CBS News is exactly what is this? How is this going to manifest? And we've already reported at Status some possibilities, which is that Barry Weiss, who your audience may know, but she runs the Free Press, which is this anti woke, anti DEI sort of publication. David Ellison has been recruiting her, trying to get her on board for many, many months. I reported the first meeting, I believe, happened last year. They were at Sun Valley, the Sun Valley conference recently, and their lawyers got together. He might just flat out acquire her outlet. She's trying to sell it for a crazy $200 million. Don't think that's going to happen, but that's the road that CBS News is about to veer toward. And someone like her, if she's in charge, if she's telling journalists at CBS News what to do, or she's advising them, I think it's very clear that David Ellison wants this, what he's going to do with it. I don't think it's really even a secret at this point. In fact, Don, I should say, when they were trying to secure approval from the FCC, David Ellison and his attorneys flat out told, I mean, there's a letter, you can read it online, told Brennan Carr, the FCC chairman, the pro MAGA FCC chairman, that they are committed to removing bias from the newsroom. Not that there is any there, but they said there was, I guess, and that they want the news programming, the programming of CBS to reflect the views of all Americans. And as both of you and I know, that is code for having dishonest MAGA folks, suddenly on the Sunday shows or the news, be part of the news programming. That's code for a lot of things. And I think that's exactly what you're going to see at CBS News moving forward.
And we've lived through that. I'll just leave it at that. We've lived through the airing of, or to giving oxygen to conspiracy theorists, which I think that's why we are part of the reason, a big part of the reason that we're in the space that we're in now, because every bit is a chipping away. And you said Barry Weiss, who is, anti-woke, anti-DEI. Also in your reporting and others, apparently Ellison is at Skydance, right? That made a deal that they would get rid of diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. Okay, now let me just say this because it's going to be this sensitive, I'm sure. It is surprising to me that the same people who want to get rid of diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, because apparently they think that's what, for Black people or what have you, when really the recipients, the biggest recipients of DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, are white women, and I think perhaps even white men. But the very people who want to do that are also upset and demanding that universities do certain things for the Jewish students on campus, or that we stamp out discrimination as it relates to Jewish people, which I completely 100% agree with. But if you're going to stand for one, it seems that you should stand for all, especially when you have people of color, especially Black people, who have the most unique relationship with America and American history, even more so than Jewish people. And so, to me, it's a sign of hypocrisy, and a sign for me that this, what I had believed in for such a long time, which was this Black Jewish alliance, that perhaps they don't understand that if they come for one, they come for all. So you have to stand up. When you mean diversity, equity, and inclusion, that also includes Blacks, Jews, women, Native Americans, Asians, members of the LGBTQ community, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's just my thing in all of this. It seems like what they're doing is not out of fairness. They are just relinquishing whatever power and standards they have over to an administration who just wants to get rid of programs that sort of corrects American history as it relates to people who are part of an underserved community. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand exactly what you're saying, Don. And they would say, we want merit-based positions. We want people hired because on merit, and not for any other reasons. And I
Have
would
they
just,
seen the people who were appointed to this administration? I digress. Go
I
on.
would just counter and just point out nicely that David Ellison, who is going to be running Skydance, he's the head of Skydance. Did he get to be the head of Skydance based on merit? Or is his dad really rich? And, if he's going to be the head of Skydance, not because I think he was some brilliant movie producer who became David Ellison and really scrapped his way up, but because his dad was particularly really wealthy and basically bought him a movie studio. Um, isn't that sort of a form of DEI in a way? Right? I mean, it's not
Yeah.
merit based.
Well, it is, I mean, nepotism
It's
or
nepotism. Yeah, I mean, nepotism is a form of like having someone in a position, right, that didn't earn it based on merit. And so I don't
or
really
what do you
like
call it?
casting those
What do you
stones,
call it?
but if you're going to come in and eliminate DEI, like let's look at you. Are you in your position because of merit?
Yeah.
I mean, I
Such
think that's a fair thing to do.
Yeah, you're right. So, I mean, that's what I mean, the hypocrisy in all of this, because I believe in fairness for all people. I believe that anti-Semitism on college campuses needs to be addressed. I think
Mhm.
anti-Semitism as a whole and anti-Jewish hate and all of that needs to be addressed. But we have to remember the whole context of America and of where we live, and that means every single person should be discussed and included in these conversations and in these policies. I think the term we're looking for is nepo baby. That's the modern term.
Yeah, I
So
think
that
you're
he
right.
would be a nepo baby when you consider, who his father is and how. That's not to say that he's not a smart person or he hasn't worked hard, but did that not give you an advantage? It's always surprising to me
It's
when people
certainly,
become.
it would have been much easier to do what I'm doing right now, Don, if my father was a billionaire who handed me some money. I think you can say the same thing for yourself.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I mean, look, if I have, let's see who's a billionaire. If my, let's just say
I will
that
take
my,
a millionaire. How about we just take
okay,
millionaires?
all right, just take a millionaire. Just say, look, if I, had I been, I think I may be older than, I don't know, I'm just coming up with billionaires or whatever, older than Tyler Perry. If my last name was Perry and I was young, and then he, I was his son or whatever, or same thing with Oprah. Do you understand what I'm saying?
You would take
Like,
a last name. Forget the money.
I would just take it like I could Don Winfrey or Don Perry. I would take it, or if it was Don Obama, I mean, hey, great. But I think that would give me a leg up in whatever industry that I was trying to make my bones in, or I decided to dabble in. Or if my name, God forbid, why I'm not going to say this. Can you imagine if my name was Don Trump the
Well,
third?
there is a guy named Don. Don
I
Trump.
know that's what I
I'll say
said.
Don. I don't know if you want that name.
No, I
You
don't
might
want that
want to.
name.
That name might be a little tarnished at this point.
Scratch that. So, but so you've got this as it relates to Paramount, and then you have Donald Trump out here now. Speaking of when I said Obama, trying to change the subject as it relates to Epstein. Now, some folks may say, those folks would say, well, this is biased. You're not focusing on these things. When the whole Epstein thing was a right wing conspiracy theory, a MAGA conspiracy theory, that it was the reason that it came to light is because of them, not because of Democrats, not because of anybody else. And so now Donald Trump is trying to change the narrative, and I can't watch. It's not working for me. I don't know if it's working for the folks who are in streaming and independent media, but has traditional legacy media, are they taking the bait on this? Donald Trump changed the narrative, focus on Barack Obama and Bill Clinton and other things rather than just focusing on Epstein, which appears at this point to be Donald Trump's Achilles heel.
Well, Fox News is. So, I mean, the mainstream media, the CNNs of the world are not, but Fox News is. And I think the real threat to Donald Trump was for the first time, MAGA media was coming at him in a way and saying, release the Epstein files, release the Epstein files. There was a lot of drama around that. And Fox News was covering it. And so were all the other MAGA media personalities. And the moment, though, Don, that the Wall Street Journal reported that Donald Trump had sent this birthday card to Jeffrey Epstein and suggested that they share the same taste in women. And the moment that the Wall Street Journal reported that Donald Trump Jr. or Donald Trump himself is in the Epstein files, you have seen a complete pivot on these outlets. And so Fox News has almost, they still mention Jeffrey Epstein's name, but they have almost entirely stopped talking about it, turned a blind eye, and started focusing on this new shiny object that Donald Trump has thrown their direction, which is
Mhm.
that supposedly, I mean, this is really ridiculous and absurd and outlandish, but supposedly Barack Obama is guilty of treason, and maybe he should be arrested. I mean, that's what you're seeing these right wing personalities call for. And Donald Trump himself reposted on Truth Social a AI generated video of Barack Obama being arrested in the Oval Office, and so that's where they are at now. And it's really like we're living in the upside down, as you mentioned, or the Twilight Zone, because
Mhm.
for the last 5 years, or you know, right wing media has been obsessed with Jeffrey Epstein. They refuse to acknowledge that he killed himself. They kept saying that some powerful people got to him and murdered him in his jail cell.
The very
And they
people who are saying now that he did kill himself were the very people, the Kash Patels and the Dan
Mhm.
Bonginos of the world, who were saying, "Oh no, he didn't kill himself. There's something fishy going on. Don't let go of this story." And now that they are, they've seen the information, all of a sudden the stories have changed. Sorry to cut you
Exactly.
off.
And so that's one aspect of the conspiracy theory. Did he kill himself or not? Right. And then the other part is they have been asking for the Epstein files. And Kash Patel was asked, a couple years ago, I think, or a year ago, why hasn't the Epstein files been released? And he said, because it exposes all the pedophiles and the pedophiles don't want it released. And now Donald Trump's in power and Kash Patel is the director of the FBI, and they won't release the Epstein files. And then we find out, well, Donald Trump, it turns out, was briefed that he is in the Epstein files. And
Mhm.
so, but the really interesting thing, Don, is that I think MAGA media had like two paths to go down. They could have just continued going after Donald Trump, which some of them are, but the majority of them have decided not to do that. And they have gone down the path that Donald Trump has led them toward, which is, what about Hillary Clinton's emails? That's really become a topic in the last week. And Barack Obama committed treason. And so I was watching Fox News the other night, and Ted Cruz was on, and Ted Cruz was saying that the one of the dates that is involved in this conspiracy theory should live in infamy, like Pearl Harbor, December 7th. Um,
Mhm.
and it's so crazy and dishonest and out there, but that is what millions of people now are being fed. And I think Donald Trump has actually managed to escape from this scandal, and it's going to chase him around for a while. But I think I really think that the big part of it's done, because the big threat was that for the first time MAGA media was coming after him, and he's really quelled a lot of that outrage and managed to give them something else to chew on.
You talk about these subjects and more in the your latest podcast, the newest version of Power Lines, and then you talk about the diversion of the distraction, which I think is really dangerous. But we'll talk about it. Here's a clip for where you're talking about changing the subject as it relates to Barack Obama.
Either you're going after Donald Trump because his name is in the Epstein files, or you're going to find a way to sweep this under the rug and move on and distract with something else. And Donald Trump has given them a brand new shiny object where Obama is apparently guilty of treason. And, he's retweeted that video or reposted that video about Barack Obama being arrested. And it was an AI generated video. And anyway, so that's the fork in the road. And I'm saying, I don't know if you're saying something different. I'm seeing them all take the bait and move on with the shiny object. It's almost like an off ramp for them. And Donald Trump gave it to them. And I think that's where they're going to go. I don't really think that they're going to target. I don't think you're going to see Benny Johnson or Sean Hannity or Jesse Waters or any of these people go after President Trump and say, why are you in the Epstein files? Are you a pedophile? Like they would with anyone else. I think that they're going to just move on, and the House is going to recess. It's going to relieve a little more pressure, and it's still the summer. And I just cannot imagine in 6 months that this is a major core issue for the base. I think they'll end up rallying behind Donald Trump, and because at the end of the day, none of these people have the fortitude to take on Donald Trump. They're all cowards and they're all propagandists. And what do propagandists and cowards do? They take orders from the guy they serve, and that's Donald Trump, and he's giving them orders. And I think they're going to take it.
And they cower, Oliver. So that's what cowards do. They cower. And I think the word you were looking for was testicular fortitude, or the balls to what you're saying. Support comes from Ziotics. Now I have to tell you about this game-changing product that I use before a night out with drinks. It's called pre-alcohol. Ziotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists. They invented it to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's a buildup of this byproduct. It's not dehydration that is to blame for rough days after drinking. So pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make pre-alcohol your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly and you're going to feel your best the next morning. I first gave pre-alcohol a try at the start of the summer before, a few margaritas. I drank it before my first sip, and you wouldn't believe how on top of my game I felt the very next morning. So it worked. So summer is here right now, which means more opportunities to celebrate the warm weather. So don't forget your Ziotics pre-alcohol. Go to zbiotics.com/lemondrops to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use Lemon Drops at checkout. Ziotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/lemondrops and use the code LEMONDROP. But here's why I think it's even more dangerous, because we know, if you look at all the fact checks and you look at all the information, I mean, that it seems to be dubious at best, this accusation about Barack Obama. But what this does, it really increases or widens this gap that we have about what's factual, what's truthful, and what's real. Because what they're doing is trading in one conspiracy theory for another. To get rid of one conspiracy theory, they're moving to another conspiracy theory, one that has even less evidence than the one before. And so I just wonder where this takes us. That's the danger in it for me.
Yeah, no, I mean, the idea of shared reality has long died, but now it's like there are all these. It's all fragmented. There's multiple realities, and Donald Trump's a master at playing this information space and understanding it, and that's why he's throwing out so much red meat. That's why he's saying Obama's committed treason. Remember Hillary's emails. By the way, we're investigating James Comey for criminal charges, and on it's gone. He is just throwing things at the base, and it's setting off all these mini news cycles, and it's rupturing even just think about, we thought it was bad during the first administration with Trump, right? We thought, wow, we have really seen a split in reality where conservatives don't believe the same things that liberals and everyone not consuming this propaganda believes. Back then, everyone at least acknowledged that Russia attempted or didn't attempt. They meddled in the election. They were attempting to influence the results, right? Sean Hannity acknowledged it. All these people acknowledged it.
Marco Rubio
Today, they
it.
pretend it's a conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
So even the things that we acknowledged as fact years ago during the first Trump administration are no longer accepted in this world. And I think that really shows how far along we've come, where even Sean Hannity had accepted something, and now he says basically it's a conspiracy theory. I mean, I don't know. It's very worrisome, to say the least, on.
This is, speaking of which, this is Donald Trump, the latest, as of this taping, what he's saying, how he's trying to get the narrative to turn.
What are you hoping Todd Blanche gets out of this meeting with Ghislaine Maxwell?
Well, I don't know about the meeting. I know it's taking place, and he's a fantastic man. He's a great attorney, and people should really focus on how well the country's doing, or they should focus on the fact that Barack Hussein Obama led a coup, or they should focus on the fact that Larry Summers from Harvard, that Bill Clinton, who you know very well, and lots of other friends, really close friends of Jeffrey Summers, should be spoken about. Because, Jeffrey Epstein should be spoken about. And they should speak about them, because they don't talk about them, they talk about me. I have nothing to do with the guy.
He can't even keep the name straight. And I've been mentioning the fact that he say Barack Hussein Obama. that is racist in itself. Why is he doing that? He's trying to otherize Barack Obama, say he's a Muslim or he's Islamic, or I don't know, perhaps connect him in some, subliminal way to terrorism or whatever, other than being American. And so this is where we are. And there's a soundbite, and it ran on the CNN, and so Oliver. Oh my gosh, I don't know.
I don't know either. I mean, you see him very clearly giving instructions, and obviously the mainstream news organizations are at least generally not going to take those, but his supporters are, Don, and so
What happens now with
going
mainstream
against that.
media? What happens because I saw you appeared on the program, and we've discussed this a little bit, talking about sort of traditional legacy media, and I think it's mentioned in the thing in your newsletter, the decline of, I think, linear. You say you're right about. So then, what happens? Is this story helping linear, the Epstein story, or is it?
No, nothing can help linear. Not much can help linear, Don. Linear is on a irreversible decline, and it will continue on that decline. Now, when we talk about linear, a lot of things can be true at the same time. That's happening. I do think that there is one channel in particular, a news channel, that could still up the ratings if they covered stories from a different perspective and had a little sharper editorial tone. That's not happening. But linear in general, I mean, that there's no reviving it, and I don't know. I actually worry more about now as these. I think at a time when you need traditional news organizations to be stronger than ever because Donald Trump is assaulting the truth in an unrelenting way, they are all weaker than ever. They're weaker in their editorial and they're weaker in their business models. And so even, linear television's dying. So that includes all the television broadcast news networks, but also the newspaper industry struggling immensely, unless you're the New York Times, and the digital news industry, outlets that are based online are also struggling because of AI and some other things that are really going to disrupt it. And so it's very worrisome that when you need a bulwark against an authoritarian like person in the Oval Office, that there really isn't. I mean, there's not one there in a real meaningful way in terms of news organizations. I mean, there's a few that are doing some good work, but like the industry as a whole is in trouble, and Donald Trump's taking advantage of it.
Oliver Darcy, you're the managing editor, right, of Status? Is that?
Well, I started it, so I can be whatever you want.
Whatever you want. Oliver, I just can't tell you enough, and I know you probably get sick of me telling you what a great job that you're doing. That you are really speaking truth to power in a way that journalism and newsletters and just the way it's supposed to happen. So continue to do that. So I wish you the best of luck. Everybody, you should read Status. You should become a member of Status and support independent journalists. And also check out the podcast Power Lines that he does with John Pastino. And you guys release what, every week or so?
Every Friday. Yeah, we release every Friday. And yes, we'd be privileged to have some of your listeners check out our podcast. You can find it at Status on YouTube or just search Power Lines and it'll come up. But we talk about all these issues on a weekly basis. Every Friday, the episodes drop, and we're excited. This is our third episode, Don. So we're just building. We have a lot of work to catch up to you.
Oh, come on now. Thank you very much for that. But listen, do you have any tips or anything that you can share with us, a little tease of something that you're working on that people may not know about? You don't have to give it away.
I'm working on a lot of things at any given time, Don. I have some. I'm working. I will say, I'm more on the Paramount story and what's going on over there, and I think that's going to be a really interesting story to watch unfold, particularly as this deal gets closed. Now, the new owners are going to take over, and there's going to be a lot of disruption. So I'm definitely keeping my eyes focused on that story, as well as there's a trillion stories out there. So we're trying to do our best every single week, whether it's covering the Wall Street Journal, covering Epstein, or covering Paramount, or what's going on in linear and the Washington Post. There's so much to cover, and we do our best to cover and break news on that every night in our newsletter, and then talk about it every Friday on Power Lines.
There are a million stories in the naked city, or something like that,
and they're all worrisome too. That's the sad thing. Like, I'm waiting for a really good story to break, but they're all alarming and make me feel at the end of the day like, wow, this is a depressing industry to cover.
Yeah. Thank you, Oliver Darcy. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Don.
Thanks everyone for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and we will see you next time.